In a stunning turn of events that caught many off guard, former President Donald Trump recently reversed long-standing U.S. technology export restrictions on China by permitting Nvidia to recommence the sale of a vital AI chip specifically tailored for the Chinese market. But here's where it gets controversial. Instead of issuing a warm welcome or thanks, Beijing's reaction has been surprisingly cold and cautious. Despite years of urging Washington to ease these tough export controls, since the reversal, Chinese officials have labeled the chip a potential security threat, summoning Nvidia for explanations and advising local companies against using it. This chilly reception highlights more than just security concerns. It underscores China's determined push toward creating a self-reliant semiconductor industry that's less dependent on foreign technology. It also hints at Beijing's growing confidence in the rapid advancements their domestic chip makers have made. Yet the guarded stance may also be a form of political signaling. Despite the notable progress in China's tech capabilities, the country still relies on American chips and technology. Experts note that Huawei, China's national tech champion, has developed some chips that rival or even exceed the performance of Nvidia's newly approved AI chip. However, for the most advanced AI processors, the ones still restricted by U.S. export controls, China remains dependent on American technology. Since Trump first launched tech restrictions against Huawei during his initial term, frustration over tightening export controls has propelled China's semiconductor sector forward in leaps and bounds. Shang Ligong, Director General of a Beijing-based technology industry group and advisor to China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, stresses that China is no longer as vulnerable to U.S. sanctions as many assume. "We have developed real capabilities," Shang explains. "It's a misconception to think that if China gets blocked, it simply won't function or is doomed." For him, the recent policy reversal by the U.S. reaffirms the critical need for China to cultivate an entirely domestic chip supply chain. For Chinese companies, the only way to secure a stable supply of chips may be to fully rely on domestically produced ones, he states. This strategy is logical, but comes with a steep challenge in the fierce global AI race where national security concerns run deep. For now, the U.S. retains its position as the leader in advanced AI chip technology. The spotlight chip here is Nvidia's H20 model, launched last year to allow continued access to China amid the Biden administration's tighter export controls that banned highly advanced processors. While Trump initially banned its export in April amid escalating tensions, he reversed course last month and approved. He justified this by calling the H20 obsolete, a step behind Nvidia's newest AI processors such as the Blackwell or H100 series, from which the H20 is derived. Nvidia's CEO, Jensen Huang, and some U.S. officials have endorsed a strategy where the U.S. maintains global tech dominance by making American chips the unavoidable standard worldwide. The goal is to sell enough to the Chinese developers so they become dependent on the American technology ecosystem. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick noted recently, but this unexpected shift in policy has raised eyebrows and provoked debate about whether Trump's approach treats national security as just another bargaining chip in trade disputes, a stance once considered a red line. Meanwhile, China regards the H20 with suspicion, citing alleged security vulnerabilities such as tracking and positioning and remote shutdown features accused by some U.S. lawmakers, though Nvidia strongly denies embedding any such backdoors. Chinese cyberspace regulators and industry officials have interrogated Nvidia about these claims and issued warnings to domestic companies urging them to steer clear of the H20 chips. Insiders revealed that at least one leading Chinese tech firm developing AI models has been cautioned by authorities to use the H20 chips carefully or avoid buying them altogether. Nvidia, on its side, firmly states there are no remote access capabilities in their chips and argues that banning the H20 in China would only harm American economic leadership without enhancing national security. Xiang Ligang voices China's skepticism bluntly. You refuse to sell us what we really want. For things you deem obsolete, you try to flood our market. Do you honestly think we're naive enough to accept that? Despite Beijing's reservations and the H20's not-so-cutting-edge performance, these chips are still highly coveted by Chinese tech firms. Bernstein, an equity research firm, estimated that shipments of H20 to China could have reached around 1.5 million units this year, generating approximately $23 billion if export restrictions had remained lifted. Top Chinese giants like ByteDance, Alibaba, and Tencent are among the buyers. When comparing Huawei's top AI chips to the H20, Huawei excels in processing power, a prime metric for chip performance, but falls behind in memory bandwidth, which governs the speed and volume of data transfer between a chip's memory and compute units. This memory bandwidth is enabled by high bandwidth memory, HBM, a vital technology for training complex AI models. China's leading HBM manufacturer, Chongqing Memory Technologies, CXMT, lags roughly 3 to 4 years behind industry frontrunners like South Korea's SK Hynix, Samsung, and the US-based Micron, explains N.S. Huang, research director at Counterpoint Research. The Biden administration's enactment of more stringent export controls last year included restrictions on HBM sales to China, forcing Chinese companies to rely heavily on existing stockpiles. Beijing has requested Washington to lift these HBM limitations as part of ongoing trade negotiations, according to the Financial Times. The appeal of the H20 chip is further amplified by Huawei's limited manufacturing scale and Nvidia's well-established ecosystem. Qingyuan Lin, a senior analyst at Bernstein who specializes in China's semiconductor industry, explains that even if Chinese companies want to completely replace demand for the H20 with local alternatives, current domestic suppliers cannot meet the scale of production required. The bottleneck emerges partly due to difficulties scaling up production in both the AI chip computing units and advanced packaging technology, an essential process that integrates the chip's components efficiently. Bernstein projects Huawei's advanced AI chip shipments will total approximately 700,000 units in 2025, far below China's actual needs. Nvidia's comprehensive ecosystem, blending hardware with a seamless software platform, creates a formidable barrier, or moat, as experts call it, making it extremely challenging and costly for AI developers entrenched in Nvidia's environment to migrate to other systems. Brady Wang, associate director at Counterpoint, emphasizes the ecosystem's importance. The H20 comes with full hardware and software support, offering better compatibility and easier integration. This maturity is something many Chinese-developed chips still struggle with, making H20 an attractive option despite its higher cost. Still, it's important not to underestimate China's rapid semiconductor progress. The tightening of exports has injected urgent momentum and opened opportunities for Beijing's drive toward chip independence. Lin points out that while China's chip-making technologies seem to plateau after Huawei's flagship 2023 smartphone stunned observers, as it contained complex chips American officials considered extremely difficult to produce, domestic equipment manufacturers have quietly improved their capabilities. Local firms had,